Hi, Stephen Watson with Tom Lee with ESPNMadison.com. Going to do a quick recap of last night's victory. The 17th ranked Wisconsin Badgers over the Indiana Hoosiers at the Kohl Center, 69-60 in favor of the Badgers. They moved to 14-4 overall, 4-2 in Big Ten play. The stat leaders, simply the main two guys for Wisconsin this year. Jordan Taylor, 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists. John Lord, 20 points and 4 rebounds. Tom, how good is this tandem?
Well, they're awfully good. I feel kind of bad, too, because I think there's about 5 minutes left in the game last night, and I sent out a tweet that said, will Jordan Taylor become the first 30-point scorer for the Badgers? And then I tagged it as just jinxed him. So I take full credit for jinxing him there. But, no, they're an awfully they're working very well together with each other, too. That's the thing. It's not just, you know, if you take one or the other off this team, I don't think they're having as much success as they do together because – you know, when you have a guy like Luer who can just do the things he does, especially when he stretches the defense, when he gets out on the perimeter and hits some shots, or we all know what he can do on the block, and then obviously Taylor who just doesn't turn the ball over. I mean, and then he's the one feeding Luer. So, yeah, I mean, they just work incredibly well together. I think they're, if not the best, one of the top 3 1-2 punches in the Big Ten.
Yeah, certainly. And you look at their relationship with each other, they just admire each other's style of play so much. You know, they're both the first person to say how good the other player is. You certainly can see that on the floor and in the locker room also. You look at also some stats. Indiana shot 51% from the floor, 61% in the first half. What adjustments did the Badgers make going into that second half to slow them down a little bit? And even how did they stay in this game with Indiana shooting so well?
It's crazy when you really look at the film from last night's game. You look at the first half, and they shot 61%, but it's not like the Badgers were playing bad defense. Mm-hmm. I think of the points that Indiana was able to score, where most of them were, you know, like jump shots, 12 to 18-foot shots. There weren't many going to the rim at all. I think there might have been 1 or 2 early on from Hulls where he got to the lane, or Verdell Jones. But yeah, I mean, in the second half, I think part of it was they were just doing a little bit better job of coming off screens. Yeah. They didn't. I mean, that's what the Wisconsin defense wants you to do. They want you to settle for jump shots because they're the least, I mean, they're the lowest percentage shot in the whole game of basketball. So when they started coming off screens a little bit better, they were running a little bit tighter. It started to force Indiana to, you know, take a little bit more rush shots. They weren't quite as comfortable when they're, you know, elevating and getting a good look at the rim. So, and then, of course, it helps when you got guys like Jordan Taylor and John Luer going off and giving Wisconsin a lead instead of playing behind, because then it pushes the pressure back on Indiana. So, yeah, a lot of it was just, you know, getting off screens a little bit better and tightening up the defense. It wasn't like they were playing bad in the first half. They just played a little bit better in the second.
Yeah, certainly. Let's turn our attention now to Sunday's matchup, where the Badgers will travel to Evanston, Illinois, to take on the Northwestern Wildcats. The tip-off's at 11:30 for all those Packers and Bear fans out there, so that the game will be done with plenty of time before the NFC Championship kickoff at 2 p.m. Northwestern 13-5 on the season, 3-4 in Big Ten play. Who do you look for in Northwestern to give the Badgers some sort of trouble?
Well, you know, the first guy that jumps to mind is John Scherna. He's a guy that you wouldn't, if you saw him on the street other than his height, you wouldn't think he's a basketball player. He's just kind of got that aw shucks mentality that, you know, he just a kid that looks like he's having fun out there. You wouldn't necessarily think he's a basketball player, but he's very, very good. And the thing about him that sticks out a lot more, and John Luer said it today at practice, is he's more athletic than people give him credit for. Luer, who was roomed with John Scherna in Las Vegas over the summer when they were, you know, the practice squad for Team USA, and he said after practice one day John Scherna was just doing dunks in between his legs, like no problem. So, I mean, he's a very versatile guy. He, you know, he's very tall. He's all of 6'9". He's got a quick release from his shot, and he can rise above the rim if he needs to. So, he's a guy that's obviously going to need the Badgers are going to have to pay attention to, know where he's at. He's a little bit banged up, but I don't think they'll stop him from playing. And then you got a guy like Juice Thompson, who I think is one of the most underrated guards in the Big Ten. He almost single-handedly brought Northwestern back when they were down early against Michigan State, and they almost got a win there. Yeah. So he's a guy that, you know, he's Thompson. He's among the leaders in the league in steals. He's very good with assisting. You know, he doesn't turn the ball over much. Those are two guys that, like Luer and Taylor, have a good 1-2 punch and a good combination and chemistry together.
Yeah, certainly. You look at the type of offense that Indiana ran, you know, the run and gun, big shots. They need to hit their shots, which they did. And then you look at Northwestern, that Princeton style of offense. How is Wisconsin going to defend that?
I think that's kind of an inexact science still. You know, I was talking to both John Lure and Keaton Ankville today, and those guys have been around for quite a while, and they still aren't necessarily sure if they have the Princeton offense down, or at least how to defend it, just because there's so many things that you can do out of that offense, and they kind of just lull you to sleep a little bit, and then they'll burn you with the backdoor cuts, and not a lot of teams do that these days with the backdoor screens and the back screens like that. So teams, I don't think there's a set way that you can settle, calm a good Princeton offense shooting team down. You just hope to limit it, and if Wisconsin sticks to their rules and their, which is good help defense, you got to protect the weak side. You have to, you have to pick up if somebody else gets by their defender or making them move to the rim. So it's never an easy task, as we can see whenever Wisconsin goes down to Welsh Ryan Arena. It's just not an easy place to play. It's a different type of arena. It's very unique among Big Ten circles. So you just never know what to expect, but Wisconsin's lost down there a couple times.
Yeah,
it could very well happen again this week. I think this is the deepest Northwestern is that at least since Lure and some of the upperclassmen on this team have been here. So I fully expect a very close game and a very tight one. And Wisconsin's just going to have to be patient on defense to hopefully slow that Northwestern offense down.
Yeah, you alluded to it earlier with them almost spoiling Michigan State earlier this season. This is certainly a spoiler-type team come Big Ten play, especially playing at home against Wisconsin.
Well, the thing is, they're just a veteran team that have been playing with each other for 3 or 4 years, sometimes 5 if any of them redshirted. So, yeah, they know all the tendencies, and they play off of each other so well that they're just a very solid team with that Princeton offense.
Yeah. And we all know, as I talked about a little bit earlier, Sunday, while it's a big game for the Wisconsin Badger basketball team, it's an even bigger game for the state of Wisconsin as the Green Bay Packers play the Chicago Bears in the NFC Championship game, a very anticipated game. So my last question to you, Tom, is, I don't know if I want to go predictions. I know you're in favor of your Packers. What do you think is going to be the biggest difference maker in that matchup on Sunday?
Man, I'm curious. I think these teams obviously know each other so well. I think they played 10 times since Lovie Smith and Mike McCarthy have been the head coaches of their respective teams, and they've split down the middle 5-5. The field, everybody wants to talk about that thing falling apart. I mean, there's all kinds of things that play into it. The rivalry, 2 good teams, the 2 good defenses, very good defenses, and the old NFC Norris division. They just want to get after each other and be physical and brutal with each other. So I really don't know what to expect. I think it's going to be a very tight game down to the wire. As a Packer fan, I get a little nervous thinking that might come down to Mason Crosby. Even though he's been pretty good in the postseason, he's I don't know, he's too much of a question mark for me. So I hope the Packers can pull it off. I'll tell you what, I won't sleep Saturday night, so
yeah, it's
going to be fun. But hopefully for the Badger fans out there, they can set the tone for the day early on, and then the Packers can just carry it on.
Yeah, certainly.
I'll go 23-20 Packers.
Oh, okay.
That's
my initial was 17-14 in favor of the green and gold. So we will see how that one turns out. Certainly the NFL's dream for this type of matchup in the NFC Championship. It's going to be an exciting one. Same with the AFC Championship, which should be exciting as well. So once again, this is Stephen Watson alongside Tom Lee. We'll be giving you previews to every Wisconsin men's basketball game from here on out and recaps from the previous games on ESPNMadison.com.